The
Broadcast.
broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. This is Bill with TopSolid USA. We're just going to give people another minute or so to join the meeting, and then we'll get fired off. Again, my name is Bill with TopSolid USA. I have Joe Hart here with me as well. He is going to be answering questions on the side. So if you have any questions, by all means, type them in, and we'll do our best to get to them. Either he'll answer them directly when you ask them, or we'll bring them up at the end of the broadcast and answer them then. All right, so let's go ahead and share my screen. You guys should now see everything, and off we go. All right, so today's webinar is all about new improvements for TopSolid 2020, or the 7.14 version of TopSolid. And it's a key focus on drilling improvements. We have a bunch of them to go through, so without further delay, let's just bang them out. All right, so to begin with, I'm going to go over here and I'm just going to open up a quick sample here, okay? The part's irrelevant for what this is. It's just to talk about a small little improvement that has to do with simplification of some icons and functionalities. So let's talk drillings first. So in the past, you'd go to drilling and, oops, I have those turned on already. That's anticlimactic. Let me turn that off. There we go. You'd go to the past, go to drilling, go to hole machining. You'd come up here, you'd pick a piece of geometry, maybe you selected it ahead of time, whatever, and you'd come up here and you'd pick the type of hole you wanted. So we had some people out there request to make that faster. So now, under drilling here, you have all of them. Okay, so I can go straight to tapping, for example, if that's what I want, and go pick my hole, and you'll see that I'm in tapping. Now, what's interesting about this is you can still switch from one type to another like before. It's just a faster way to get started. Now, on top of that, to make things a little bit easier, you can customize your menus so that they show up here in this menu, okay? So to do that, we're just gonna go ahead and first go to our Tools tab here, and we're gonna go to Menu. In order to customize any menus, you have to create your own menu. So I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna call this TopSolid 2020. Perfect. And then I'm gonna set that as the menu that I'm working with, okay? And now I can go and customize the menus. So for example, we see right here, customize. I'm gonna go to 2D, 3D drillings. I'm gonna grab all of them because I want all of them, and I'm just gonna add them like that. When I do that, and I right click now, you can see you have fast access to everything, including the new gun drilling command, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Since I'm on this topic, and we'll talk about this more in when we do the 2D milling presentation, but if you notice up here in the pull-down menu, you have a new truncated contouring command as well. Again, it's side milling. It's just starting with the command at truncating. You can add that to your right-click menu using the same methodologies. Cool. All right, let's keep on trucking here. So the next improvement we're going to talk about has to do with drilling intersection speed. So here we have a plate, and I have kind of a cross-section cut through here so that it's easier to see what's happening. If I turn on these drillings and these drillings, you can see that all of the holes going this way have been drilled. Okay, now we want to drill this last hole here, but as we're drilling that last hole, we want to slow down as we break through a hole and speed back up again, right? So the way we're doing that is like this. If I go in here and I go ahead and go into settings, and I go to my drilling intersections, the new command here is twofold. I believe you could always speed up or slow down the feed rate, okay? But what's new is modifying the spindle rate. Now, of course, your machine has to support this. But let's say as I'm breaking through the hole, I want to slow down my programmed spindle rate by 20%. So I'm going to go set this to an 80% factor. And then once I have broken through, I want to go back to 100% spindle RPM. Okay, if we say okay to this, we can watch the simulation. I'll drag this down and let me tab over till we get to where we need to be. All right, so here's our tool. Okay, right now, let me bring this down. We're at our program feed rate, roughly 8,000 RPM. We're at rapid, right? And so I'm gonna let this simulate. And as it simulates, now you're seeing we're also at 500 millimeters per minute. But you'll see as we break through, two things happen. I did tell it to slow down the feed rate. So here we're at 300, and notice here, we're now 20% less on the RPM, or maybe you want to go 20% more, it's up to you, okay? Now we're breaking through, and now we're back up to the program. Perfect. And for each crosshole, the crossholes are detected automatically, so there's nothing special you have to do there. And the software just does what the software is supposed to do. It just does what you told it to do. Let's have a look at that in G-code. So if I go here and generate some G-code, perfect. We'll just do a simple FANUC style code. All right, so here is our drillings. And here you can see as we start to break through the hole, slowing down the spindle speed at the slower feed rate. Now we're through the hole, speeding it back up at the standard feed rate, and so forth, so on, till we finish. Okay, so welcome to gun drilling, welcome to drilling intersection speeds. All right, let's keep on moving here. So next, I'm gonna turn that one off. Let's go to the next sample. This will be to introduce you all to gun drilling. So again, same part, just set up to show gun drilling instead. If I go in and look at this, I should back up actually, so let me do that. To activate gun drilling, it's literally just a type there. Or if you go into hole machining, of course, you can, well, you got to pick a hole. It's a good demo so far. So let's go there. You can pick gun drilling up here as well. That's your new gun drilling command. Okay. So if we go into the gun drilling command, we're going to go ahead and have a look at a couple things. Let's go to settings. And here I'm going to go to my in and out gun drilling tab. Okay. So this is what it's all about. I want, in the gun drilling operation, I want to go in 10 millimeters and then have a 2-second delay once I get there at my machining feed rate. I also want my coolant set to jet. Maybe that's different than my standard cutting conditions. You'll also notice you have spindle rotation. Maybe I'm not spinning because this is a pre-drilled hole already. Okay. And then when I am done drilling this deep hole on my way out, I want to reverse my spindle direction. I want to reduce the spindle rotation by 50%, and I don't want any coolant at this point. Okay. Other than that, you program the type of drilling you want. So here I'm just using a simple chip breaking routine. Okay. And if we go in here and we run the simulation, again, I'm going to hit N to get started there, and let me get this down here so we can see everything. So we're rapiding up, right? Right now we're spinning. And now here, just before we enter the hole, you notice the milling spindle is now none. So we've turned that off. We're going at 50 millimeters a minute. Okay, that gets down to our 8 millimeters depth there. And then we're going to start our pecking at our RPM, and it's going to go, go, go. And let's fast forward this because we've all seen this. And then here, once it gets to depth, notice counterclockwise, 4,000 RPM. Okay, and again, I think we should look at G-code because G-code really helps to understand what's going on. So let's go ahead and take a look. And here we go. Now, because it's broken up and whatnot, of course, it's a longhand cycle, but you can see it's doing everything we told it to do in very simplistic form. So now you have full control over deep hole drilling, however you want to control it, without having to create any type of custom cycles. So a great new improvement. Again, for those of you who use the favorites command or processes, you can use those in your processes. If this is your favorite way of controlling a gun drilling, go up to here, save it as a favorite, and move on with life. Okay, awesome. Let's move on to the next improvement. There's two improvements for internal thread milling. Okay, let's look at the first one. The first one has to do with how you want to control the thread mill. Okay, and I'm going to bring over a little Word document here really quick just to help explain. So we've had some requests from people wanting to do internal thread milling from the top of the hole down, but maintaining climb cut. Okay, so just to remind you, typically when you're doing climb cut thread milling, you go to the bottom of the hole so you can climb cut your way up the hole. In this case, we're going from the top down, and I'll show you how to turn this on, and it does the first steps, 1, 2, then goes down to the next step, 3, 4, and so forth, so on to the bottom of the hole. Okay, so let's have a look. If I go to my thread milling, again, everybody knows how to use thread milling, so I'm just going to go over where the improvements are here. So if we go here to the contouring option, you'll see an option here. You had this before from top or bottom, but you didn't have control over whether you were climb cutting or conventional milling. Okay, so now we're going from the top, climb cutting, and off we go. And if we go here and we watch the simulation, you will see that it goes in and it's climb cutting from the top. Let's speed this up a little bit. Perfect. So choice is yours now. You can control your thread milling however you want to control your thread milling. Let's go on to the next drilling improvement. This one has to do with one for controlling the plunge feed rate. So standard thread milling, let's watch the simulation here. I'm just gonna hit my next button. So we've rapided it down to here, right? And now, oops, that was really fast. Let me slow this down, start it again, my bad. So right now we're in rapid, right? We rapid down to our rapid plunge clearance above the hole, and now we're feeding. And depending on what your feed rate is, that could take a long time to get to the bottom of the hole. And if you have a lot of holes, that just adds unnecessary time to the cycle time. So what the new improvement here is, let's go into thread milling. We'll go to our settings tab. Again, go to contouring. And I believe it's towards the bottom here. You have a new option here called down feed rate to reach the bottom of hole, right? So I can switch this to rapid, for example, or to a set feed rate. And now, again, we watch the same simulation, and now you're seeing we're staying in green here the whole way and rapiding down, right? And then we go into the thread milling. So again, a nice little improvement, but gives you better control over how you're entering and exiting a thread milling. Awesome. Let's keep on going. All right, so this one's kind of neat. We made an improvement to how we calculate the depth of a drilling. Okay, and this came from lots of user feedback. For example, I'm just going to go right into this first one here. So if we look, you notice where my arrow is starting from. It's starting from the top of the hole, right? So in some cases, maybe the countersinking was done already. In some cases, it wasn't. So if it was done already, maybe you want to start from here, right? But you want the 20 millimeters calculated, which is the depth that we want to drill to. You want that 20 millimeters calculated from here or here. So the new improvement here is apply depth from top element. Okay, if I have that selected, notice it's at the top. If I deselect it, we're going to go 20 millimeters deep from this point. Okay, so again, it gives you better control over your geometries, over how you're calculating the depths. Maybe we go to this one. Let's have a look. If we go to this one, I believe that does the same thing. In this case, because we selected this hole to drill, right? So do we want to calculate our 20 millimeter depth from here or from the top element? Hopefully this makes sense to everybody. It just gives you just that one little click more of control over how to calculate things. Again, if you guys have any questions, by all means, type them into the question section of the GoToWebinar in your little console there, and we'll make sure to answer them at some point during the presentation. All right, let's move on. All right, so next one is, again, a small one, but a useful one. So this is a improvement to drilling by contouring. Okay, so here I'm using drilling by contouring because I need to have really accurate holes here. So I pre-drill the hole and now I'm going in with my drilling by contouring command here, right? Where the improvement is, and let me turn off the tool for a moment. Where the improvement is when you were drilling by contouring before, you couldn't control an overlap for the lead in, lead out, okay? So now you have an overlap ability. All right, it's right down here. So I can go here and say I want a 0.5 millimeter overlap. And notice now you have your control of overlap. The function existed in regular side milling. It just wasn't put in here before for some reason. Now it is. So again, subtle little control, but a good clean improvement also. All right, let's keep on going. All right, so drilling with part limitations. This one's actually really, really cool for anyone who ever has to do a lot of drilling and you want to control how the automatic searches finds the holes. This is for you. So here's how it works. So here you see I have a plate and I have just a ridiculous number of drillings in there, right? So what I want to do is I want to simplify things because maybe I want to just work in a given area because maybe it's really, really abrasive material. I'm going to have to swap out drills. Who knows what the reason is? So if I go up here to equipment, I can go to the equipment pull down menu, and in the part section here is something called part analysis limitation. So let's have a look. If I go in here, this looks just like your limits used in the 3D milling, right? So I'm going to say, you know what? I just want to be over here. Let's maybe look straight at this thing. I'm going to be down to here maybe. Yeah, that looks nice. And maybe right about there. Beautiful. So that's going to be the area. Now, where is this area stored? Of course, it is stored in the entities tree under part limits. Okay? And if you notice, when I select that, it's even already showing the holes that are limited by that. Kind of nice. Now, how do we use it when we're drilling? Simple. We go to drilling. Let's just go here. Actually, we'll do this. I'll pre-select. I'm going to go select a hole way up here. It doesn't even matter. And I'll go to drilling, and I'm just going to go to drilling. So now it's going to calculate the good start altitudes, the depths, everything. That's way up there. Let's go ahead and grab a tool. That's a great tool. Good. So now we're ready to use this. So to do this, we're going to go to the geometry button. And up here, you'll notice that you see part limitations. So here I can choose my part limit. If you forgot to create one ahead of time, no worries, hit the orange plus sign, build it on the fly. Okay? I just wanted to show you both ways of how to get there. So I'm going to go to part limit, and now I'm going to do a fine geometry. And this is similar to our filters here, right? So I'm going to click this. I'm going to click OK. We'll talk about that window shortly. Even though I selected up here, it doesn't matter. It's only going to drill what's in that limit area. Okay? So again, just a nice little way to control things. Now, something important to understand also. Let's say you want to modify the limit area. Okay? So here's your drillings. I'm going to go to my entities. I'm going to go find my part limit area. I'm going to double click on it so that I can edit it. That's great. I'm going to decide, you know what? I want to go all the way to here. Makes sense. I just want to get more done. I'm going to click OK. I got to switch back to my machining stage. And of course, the drillings go dirty. Makes sense because we made a change to something. So you regenerate because you're a good TopSolid user. And lo and behold, it didn't update. Why? Because today it's been decided that if you make a change to a part limitation area, and pardon me, went to the wrong place. And in here, you use this search. This search, nowhere in the software, in previous versions, in this version, regenerates the search criteria. If you need to regenerate the search criteria, you need to come in and just hit this button one more time so that it regenerates the search criteria. So it's one extra step for now. Give us your feedback on it. Maybe you like this, maybe you don't. And we'll see where the new improvement takes us over the next few versions. Like that, we've now used our part limitation area. You can rename them. You can rename them by zones. You can use them however you want. Again, it's just a way to control a little bit more how you find the holes to drill. Okay, let's keep on going. Nice. All right, what's next here? Got, I think, just 3 more, and then we're done with this webinar. So we have search holes by color. This one is, again, very, very cool. What I'm about to show you, you can use in standard drilling, manual drilling. You can use with automation if you're doing methods-based machinings. You can search by colors this way as well. There's lots of different ways to control this. I'm just going to give you a quick example of what to look for. Okay, so on my goofy little plate here, you see that I have some holes that I have some specific colors to. Okay, so I'm going to go over here and I'm going to select this one right here, and I'm just going to go drill a hole. Then maybe we'll do some tipping on this. Okay, let's go grab a tip drill. That's a great tip drill. Now, when I go into geometry, you'll notice down here I have something called same color. I'm going to activate that. Up here, I'm not going to have same depth and same diameter because maybe I just want to tip drill all of the yellow holes. I'm going to go ahead and search and go. And now we have found all the yellow holes. Great. Okay. Now, another way to do it would be to mix and match. For example, I'm going to take the orange and the red. And again, I'm going to go to drilling and I'll go to centering. We already got our tip drill in there, so we'll just go grab it really quick. All right, so we got those 2 holes selected, but at the end of the day, I want to grab all of them. So again, same thing, turn on same color. If you select holes with different colors, it adds them to the search criteria. And now you'll see it got all of the orange and all of the red holes. Okay, so searching by color can be, again, a very, very useful tool for simplifying and speeding up how you find your holes to machine. Alrighty, next one. This one's really cool. This has to do with the drilling command respecting environment objects. So for those of you who use clamps and whatnot to hold your parts onto your machines like any machinist would, the environment tools did not work great when it came to drillings. So this year we worked really, really hard, and now they do. I want to show you how it works. So I'm going to delete this. And then from here, so we have an environment activation, right? So if I go into here just to show you, I have my clamps activated. I have a 10mm clearance on all of them, okay? And now I'm gonna go pick a hole to drill. Why not? So we'll go to drilling. And here we're gonna go to geometry. Why not? Same color. We'll use that filter even though I think they're all identical anyway. And we're gonna do search. Now, there is one specific thing you have to make sure to turn on in order for this to work. Currently, you see that I am drilling right through our clamps, which everyone likes because it flings drill bits out at the operator. I'm kidding, no operators were hurt in this demonstration. If we go to settings and we go to altitudes, in order for this to work, you must turn on check collisions. If you don't, it's not going to function. Now, when you first turn this on, you'll notice this does not update yet. It doesn't do the calculation against the clamps until you hit OK. So let's click OK. Now it's going to calculate, it's going to check the collisions of everything, and it's going to omit the holes that would have caused problems. And now you can see we have very, very clean tool path, and we are not destroying clamps or tooling, which is always a good thing. Make sense? Perfect. Moving on. All right. Last one for today is a small improvement in fine machining for drilling. So maybe some of you guys have used this in the past. If I'm drilling this bottom hole, okay, and I have activated fine machining. So what the new improvement is how you want to control your feed rate. Do you want it to be based on the tool feed rate, the feed rate, or tooth feed rate? If I change it, like right now I'm on tooth feed rate, if I change it to be a feed rate move, you'll see it's going to recalculate. It's got to recrunch some things, but then those values will update to show the feed rate mode. So now we're at 100 millimeters per minute instead. Click OK, and you're done. And all that's doing is that is controlling. Let me get down here. The entry feed, right? So now it's at 1,000. And when we get down to the bottom here, as it's exiting, it'll drop back to the exit feed. Okay? So this brings us to the end of this webinar on the focused improvements for drillings. Are there anyone that has any questions at this time? Please feel free to type them into your dialogues there, and we'll do our best to answer them. If not, let's give it a minute here and see. Otherwise, if not, we can say this one's done, and we'll look forward to next week's webinar, same time, 10:30 a.m. Central Time, and we're going to get into all of the 2D milling improvements for the 2020 version. All right, doesn't look like anyone's typing, so everyone have a great day. Thanks for attending, and we'll see you soon.